Hi there. I think there is room for the apocalyptic in Gnosticism. There is a personal apocalypse which is possible. The experience of the transcendent can have an apocalyptic feel to it. That is to say, a sort of once only experience. If you've got the ineffable realms here and you've got the realm of the demiurge here, it might be possible for the Lord to create a vortex between the worlds. But I think it's very much a case of we'll call you, not you call us. So God is going to call you. And there's certain characteristics which would go with this spontaneous calling. It would have to be signified by something which is really impossible, like an impossible happening, a miracle, in other words. And the interesting thing about miracles is that they are completely detectable by the five senses, you know, which is something to bear in mind. You don't have to create any new sense, any sixth sense, to be aware of a miracle. And when that miracle happens, you'll be in no doubt, as it says in the book of Revelation, you'll be no doubt that Jesus comes back to judge the quick and the dead. And it will be a meaningful experience. So it'll be something that you recognize as being miraculous and you recognize as belonging to the ineffable realm, the realm of the good God. But at the same time, you will also be completely in normal consciousness. There won't be any change of consciousness in order to expedite this this miracle. You'll be in your own consciousness, your own I consciousness. It'll be something that happens to you, not you do something to create it. It'll be unsought for. I think that things happen spontaneously and in their right place and in the right place at the right time. And it'll also be unexpected. I think that's one of the big characteristics. It'll certainly be something which will take you by surprise, if not astonishment, in fact. And I also might say here that there's a fear of the Lord, which is, the angel came down and had to say, "Fear not, neither be afraid," because it's not every day that you actually see an angel. I mean, see an angel in the flesh. This is not a vision. This is not a trance. This is not something hallucination. Oh, this is the real deal. Okay. And it should create an immediate, decisive action. So, you go to Bethlehem, all right? You don't stop and wonder about your flocks. You leave your flocks. You leave everything. You leave your normal life and you just go. And on top of that, this is followed. Well, it can be followed by a series of synchronistic events. In other words, two events happening which have a shared meaning, and they happen at the same time. And it could be that you take others with you, and it could be that you're not actually going to plan anything. It's the idea of sleepwalking. You're guided by the Holy Spirit, and everything just falls into place, or at least it does initially. I think there is struggle later on. I mean, this is an initiation. So maintaining it and creating it and keeping it from self-destruction is another thing altogether. But this will happen. Okay, this will happen, and it's you don't look for it. You don't call them; they call you. And then everything, for a time, everything will be easy because you're flowing with the universe. Of course, as I said, thereafter you might have to struggle. because you are in the demiurge, the realms of the demiurge, and so therefore, creative, destructive, preserving elements will come into it. Dialectical elements will come into it. Um, Even adversarial forces, self-adversary, will ensue. But the initial spring, the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles, they will be with you. I mean, they'll be shining in front of you, and they'll be in you and with you. And it will be glorious, to coin a adjective which should not be used in any good modern poetry. Apocalyptic, because it really will be the blasted tower. I mean, the yods will come falling down from the blasted tower when the Lord strikes. The Lord strikes but once. He'll tell you this once, and once only. It's a once only lifetime thing that will come upon you. And this will not come through study. This will not come through the emetic path. This is something which you don't go towards. You don't grow. It's something that the hurricane will blow, and the king's men will be blown down, and everything that you are will be changed in a twinkling of an eye. So there is no preparation for this. There is nothing that you can do about it. Once it hits you, it hits you. Well, I suppose you do have a certain amount of free will, but woe betide anybody who doesn't act decisively on this experience. But I think a lot of people actually do, unfortunately, which is why it happens to quite a few people, even though I think not many people actually do, in fact, in the end, respond very well to it. Or they might respond initially, but then it goes off the boil pretty quickly afterwards. So, you do have to work thereafter. I'm not saying that, you just sit around and then things just happen and everything is rosy. Because toil and suffering and the sweat of the brow is part of the lower finite world. So this is, when something is going to come and pushes itself through the abyss that separates the worlds and makes and brings you up short, basically. Perhaps it even could be physical illness which brings you up short, something which will happen to you, and it will make you completely change your perspective. So, it can be a rough form of initiation. Sometimes it depends on the individual. But this video in itself, I suppose, is preparing you for such an eventuality. And I have to be careful here because, I don't want to presume the will of the Lord. I don't want to present this as something which could happen to you, and therefore will happen to you. They used to execute astrologers because they said that, when you make an astrological prediction, you are actually creating the magic for that prediction to happen. So sorcery and astrology go very well together. And of course, it was death penalty to predict the future of the king or queen of the country. That was automatic. So I don't want to be accused of sorcery. I don't want to be accused of this video. And I have to now, deny this video altogether. You watch this video once and you don't watch it ever again. And I beg forgiveness from you for even suggesting that such a thing could ever happen to any one of you or any one of us or me or anyone. It will not. It will not unless it is the will of God. It has to be the will of God and no other will involved. Even this video, as I say, is hubris, really, to even make this video. So I deny I even made it. It's a theoretical condition. I'm talking about something which could happen, but which might never happen. Okay, that's got to be very clearly made during this presentation. And I finish on that note.